what's up YouTube? Evan Starr here, and we're back with another Anima Tactics battle report for Play It Painted. This time we're playing a 200 level encounter scenario using the exploration rules. We're playing the exploration scenario with 2 notes as points, and we are playing organizational advantages this game. So this is a pretty standard size game that we're now moved up to. This is myself and Kevin playing this game. So let's have a look at each of the parties that we're playing. Kevin will be playing Church with the team of Justina and Damien, plus their team card, Alice, and Evangeline with the Martyr bonus. And their organizational advantage is Divine Mediation. Meanwhile, I'll be playing Wissenschaft, with Alessa, Feng Yi with a supernatural weapon, Lorenzo with an orb of power, and Cain de la Cruz with my organizational advantage, the Process. So we'll get straight into the game. We played on a 4x4. There's Kevin, this kind of blurry shot of his whole party deployed behind a forest, kind of at the back edge. Now the point of exploration is to break through to the other opponent's side of the board and have more guys on his side of the board than he has on yours. So turn 1 opens with Kevin moving Alice out, just flying out towards the middle of the field. Alice, a very fast character, so Kevin trying to jump out early with her. Meanwhile, I go with the Process. I've added, I believe, Shield to Feng Yi, and I've added Haste to Lorenzo, and I'm about to move them up in that first turn. So anyway, here we go with Feng Yi moving up that side of the board. Most games start off this way. Again, I have a very fast Wissenschaft team, while Kevin kind of has some fast characters, and he's going to want to keep some support with him. Kevin comes back with Justina, who is moving around a corner here, and he kind of hooks around that force that he's deployed behind. So he's got Justina out there in front. He will follow up with his other characters quite shortly. I come up with, it looks like Cain de la Cruz, moving up towards the center of the board. I kind of keep her behind cover. She's kind of there as a kind of control stability piece with the armor and the ability to absorb wounds and damage. Meanwhile, Damien has moved up along his lady love Justina, so they're going to continue to hook around those woods. They kind of need Evangeline with them, but I'm pretty sure she's coming as well. Meanwhile, I go with Alessa, pop invisibility. Now, I know, I realized later that I could have started the game invisible, and I'm just getting used to that idea that I can start the game with upkeep abilities in play. But anyway, she goes invisible and starts to walk up a little bit. Here comes Evangeline around that side. Not a whole lot happened in the first turn. It's really just us jockeying for position. That's pretty normal for most of these games. Again, this is probably why you can play Anima Tactics on a smaller board, I feel, if you're only running a handful of models. So I move up Lorenzo with position on Feng Yi. So I've got Lorenzo and Feng Yi, and that model there at the top of the screen that you can't see is Alice. I'm sorry, it is Alice. Here's this a wide shot of the first turn. As you can see, not a whole lot happening. I've got Alessa in the background. He's got Justina and Damien and Evangeline in the back, and Alice kind of separated, which becomes a problem in the second turn because I go ahead and spend the power counter with Lorenzo and charge Alice. Now, luckily for him, he's making his dodges, and so Lorenzo doesn't really impress, at least when he's using power counters in this game. And he has 4 of them, by the way, because of the orb. So the second turn opens up with a little bit of melee out front. Alice decides to duck back and away. I believe she actually does a few points of damage to Lorenzo. Yes, she does, in fact, before she moves off, so you can see the amount of wounds remaining on Lorenzo. So that failed charge, well, I did make the charge, I just didn't hit her. That's cost me a little bit. Meanwhile, I've got Alessa, who is still in stealth, and Feng Yi moving up beside. I put haste on Feng Yi this turn, just in case I think she may be the one doing some attacking this turn, but frankly I don't quite get there because Kevin's still playing a little bit of keep away. He moves Justina over to try to attack Lorenzo. There I do use a dodge, and Lorenzo I believe, does not get damaged by the attack. Actually, wait, no, he does. He does get damaged by the attack quite a bit. It puts him down to 1 wound, it looks like. So at the end of the turn, I decide using the process that I'm going to have to put healing on Lorenzo. So the next turn starts, and that's my die roll for initiative. It looks like I'm going to be able to start first, and the first thing I do is I believe I get some healing back on Lorenzo to kind of get him back into the game. Very blurry shot here. I apologize for that. We were having a lot of fun, and I was just kind of snapping as many photos as I could. You can see me moving Kane towards the middle of the board there, ready to intercept anything that Alice might do. Kevin comes back with the same thing. He's got Justina and pulling back in front of Alice now, who is now withdrawn behind Evangeline because he knows I was trying to pick on Alice. I actually try to charge Evangeline with Feng Yi, which is pretty deadly given her combo attacks. Kevin decides to intervene with Alice, so Alice actually is the one intercepting a charge, which is very cool in this game. Very cool ability that you can do, and that's one of the things I like about Anima Tactics, is that you have stuff like that where characters can actually cover other characters, because Evangeline is going to get knocked over in combat, especially against Feng Yi with a supernatural weapon. However, poor Alice has to take it for the team this time, and she goes down to Feng Yi's attacks. So, kind of sad about Alice, one of my favorite miniatures, but she does die fairly easily. So following that, Kevin decides to bring in Damien. Now Damien goes in after Feng Yi, does manage to hit her pretty hard. However, I've got Kane de la Cruz in control range, and Kane decides, why not take the damage for Feng Yi? I like having Feng Yi up front like that, hopefully to try to take Evangeline out, so I'm going to try to give her some more mileage by putting the wounds on Kane. So here's a top view of the of that turn and how that went. Looks like Damien took a little bit of damage, but nothing serious, and Kane absorbed some damage. So in the next turn, Lorenzo jumps in. I burn another power counter. I want to throw Damien out of the way so that I can get at Evangeline. But every time I throw a power counter, it doesn't seem like anything happens. In fact, Damien kind of backs off a little bit and punches Feng Yi for a little bit of damage right there. So we've got this scrum, which is happening on Kevin's side of the board. Meanwhile, Alessa's just kind of biding her time, trying to draw a bead on Justina. I believe she does attempt to come out of stealth and fire at Justina, who dodges the attack and suffers no damage. So here's the wide shot of that same thing. You can see with my dice on various characters up the board, those are the models who are damaged, and the dice facing is how many wounds they have remaining. So I've got 3 characters damaged. Finally, I believe Justina is the one to finish off Feng Yi, who's been taking some damage from Damien earlier in the turn. So Feng Yi goes down and Alice is out, so we each have a model out. I decide to charge Evangeline with Kane de la Cruz, and I believe this does actually pay off for me. I am able to do some damage to Evangeline, and I managed to take her out with Kane. So that puts me up a little bit. That 5 on the silver die there is actually how many wounds Kane has left. Lorenzo has a little bit left from gaining healing in the previous turn. But then Damien goes ahead and he attacks Kane. Now that's double deadly because Damien's attacks ignore armor, and he actually gets bonus damage against armor. So he's able to take Kane out pretty easily. Meanwhile, I charge a 3rd time, I believe, Justina here, and discard a power counter with Lorenzo. Sure enough, nothing happens. Here's the die roll. This is Gnosis plus the charge, I roll a 1, 2, and 3, and Kevin rolls a 9 for his dodge. So at this point, I'm pretty frustrated because I love throwing things around with Lorenzo, try to get that dual buster going, but this game, it was not to be. So here's another backup shot of the combats that are going on. Kevin is down to just Justina and Damien, and he actually lets Justina get damaged here a little bit. I actually shoot her up a little bit with Alessa, and the reason why Kevin does that is so that he can actually start to cash in on the bonus that Damien gets when Justina starts suffering some wounds. Meanwhile, Damien quickly dispatches of Kane, so now we've got a 2-on-2 battle with a dying Lorenzo, an untouched Alessa versus a somewhat damaged Justina and a fairly intact Damien. So finally, on this turn, I discard another power counter to try to hit Justina again. That's the last power counter I have, and we're finally out of attacks there. Don't end up killing Justina. However, Alessa is doing a great enough job just kind of sitting back and plugging her, and I probably should have reversed the order of those attacks now that I think about it. But anyway, Damien has to come in and try to save his woman, which he does. Looks like he's got Lorenzo there on the ropes. However, Lorenzo still has a little bit left in him, even though he does not have any power counters left. So at this point, just showing off some of the fantastic die roll skills of our initiative here as the game is winding to a close. This is a 7-turn game. So anyways, I start with Lorenzo, and this is turn 6, by the way. Lorenzo opens up his turn with just a couple of basic attacks, nothing fancy, and he ends up taking Damien out, which is quite nice. Looks like, I guess I backed up a little bit to show this combat going on. Lorenzo does have to spend a couple of attacks to take out Damien, which he does. Actually, I don't know why. I might have had this backwards. Maybe he took out Justina. Yeah, I think so. I think he takes Justina out first with a regular attack. And then Damien, in retaliation, he loses his girlfriend and goes right back at Lorenzo, putting Lorenzo away. So now we've got a damaged Damien and a fairly intact Alessa, and this is now turn 7. So this is the end of the game, and Kevin's thinking, hey, all I have to do is get over to my side of the board, and this will be a tie, and he does win initiative going into the final turn to do so. And Damien does have, as you know, he does have a pretty quick 16-inch move to get him over there. So he does actually manage to get over to my side of the board. You can see where Alessa is where Damien was standing just a minute ago. But the problem is Damien gets over to that side of the board. I think he only has like 4 life points remaining, and I've got Alessa there on his side of the board managing to take him out. So that's the end of the game. Thanks for watching. Very fun game. Can't wait to play another one. Very close, and thanks, Kevin, for playing, and we'll catch you on the next one.